The first two Fallout games are still among the best of the isometric RPG genre, helping to not only define a lot of key aspects of the genre as a whole, but helped to establish a unique and fun franchise for years to come. So the developer went bankrupt. Okay, joke stolen from H-Bomber guy aside, Fallout as we know it today is a far cry from what it once was. The series publisher Interplay Entertainment eventually sold the franchise to Bethesda Softworks in 2007, and with their acquisition of the franchise, it reached a whole other level of gamer appreciation. Depending on who you ask, the Bethesda-made Fallout titles are either some of the best experiences available, or are hollow continuations of what made the originals great. And then there's Fallout 76, which became the gaming community's laughingstock after No Man's Sky decided it wanted to be good. Fallout 1 and Fallout New Vegas are my personal favorites from the Fallout franchise, both of them giving me everything I would want from the series in two conflicting styles of gameplay, and neither of them were developed by Bethesda, so what does that tell you? However, that doesn't mean I don't enjoy playing the Bethesda-made games. I enjoyed Fallout 4 enough to want to earn the platinum for it, and while I may try and do the same for Fallout 3 at some point in the future, it would be more out of completion of the series rather than personal enjoyment. Plus, if I decided to platinum all the games in the Fallout franchise that have platinums, I would have to play Fallout 76 again, which, well, I don't really want to do. I don't care if it's been improved since launch or whatever. These scars run deep. But there is one game that Bethesda made that I can honestly say I enjoy. It's just probably not the first one you think of when talking about the series. Released on June 14th, 2015 as a sort of tie-in / promotional thing for the then upcoming Fallout 4, Fallout Shelter is a free-to-play resource management and construction game all about managing your own vault. You'll manage resources, tend to the needs of your dwellers, and have them engage in forced hanky-panky. I knew randomly putting you two into a room together because you have similar and arbitrary stats would spark some passion. Becoming the overseer of an entire vault has plenty of challenges you'll need to overcome, and today, we're going to talk about arguably one of the harder ones to achieve. And what's weird about it is it's not even really that hard of a task from a gameplay perspective, just easily missable and mildly annoying as a result. Fallout Shelter is full of trophies that require lots of grinding, something you would likely expect from what was originally a mobile title, but there's one that's not only grindy, but missable thanks to the game's own mechanics. The Get Off My Lawn trophy might not seem like a big deal at first, asking you to only dispatch 50 raiders coming to attack your vault. However, aside from a few grind-heavy trophies that more or less just ask you for your time more than anything else, this one has one of the lowest unlock rates out of any in the game. So, what's the big deal? Why is this, of all trophies, the one that isn't completed as much? Well, welcome to another episode of Trophy Tips, a show where I do my part and offer you some tips on how I did the thing so that you can hopefully earn this trophy and the eventual platinum for yourself. As per usual, I have 4 tips here to hopefully help you earn this one, but before I get into those, I want to emphasize one specific thing with this game first. Fallout Shelter, unlike a lot of other games I've covered or plan to cover for this series, does allow you to enhance your game and arguably make it easier through microtransactions. By purchasing lunchboxes, you can unlock special dwellers, weapons, armor, and more, and it can make just about everything in the game that much easier. But for the purposes of this video, and because there's no guarantee that they'll be sold forever on the store, these tips are going to be presented with the understanding that you don't need to buy anything to unlock this, mainly because I'm poor and I assume some of you out there are as well. And with that out of the way, we move on to tip number 1, starting from scratch. Fallout Shelter is an easy game to just lose hours and hours to, starting with access to only a few rooms and ballooning into a 200 dweller strong underground fortress. However, this is a trick that the game plays on us completionists, because in order to earn Get Off of My Lawn, you don't want to expand your vault too quickly or to capacity. So for simplicity's sake, whether it's your first vault or your 51st vault, it's best to try earning this trophy by starting a new vault for one very simple reason: spawn rates. Raiders, ghouls, and deathclaws will randomly attack your vault door looking to slaughter just about everything and everyone inside. But the game is fairly balanced in terms of its spawn rates, so you won't have a 5-person vault attacked by a deathclaw right off the bat. Raiders are the first of these invading enemies you'll face, and they will attack your vault up until about 30 dwellers or more are in your vault, at which point ghouls begin to attack instead. Raiders can still occasionally attack, but the chance of them doing so drops dramatically once you have 30 or more dwellers. So for this, stick to 29 total in your vault to start, and you should see nothing but leather-clad murder hobos come a-knockin'. And if a new dweller tries coming in, choose someone in your vault with bad stats and cast them out. replacing them with this new friend instead of just bringing them in and having ghouls sent your way as a result. But don't worry about not being fully defended or anything like that. Early on in the game, you are given a plethora of quests and tasks to complete that reward you with caps and lunchboxes. More often than not, I found that early game lunchboxes give you out some pretty decent rewards, with at least one good weapon, armor, and or even dweller tucked neatly inside. So start with a fresh vault, do as many tasks as you can, and you should be set, right? Well, this is only tip number 1, and that brings me to tip number 2, strong foundation. In Fallout Shelter, you can assign any of your dwellers to any room you please to complete tasks, but there are some rooms that are better for certain dwellers because of their individual special stats. A high strength character would be best served in the power generator room because they'll help production go faster, but they wouldn't be much of a help in the storage room unless they have a high endurance. But not all rooms have a bonus to them, and one such room that not everyone knows they can assign dwellers to is actually the vault entrance itself. And so you should find your best dweller, equip them with your best gear, and assign them to the front lines. But it isn't just that room you need to defend. It's arguably the most important, because a lot of the time with a well-equipped dweller or two, they can quell the advance then and there, but you also need to account for the rest of your vault. As such, I propose making what I call the defense corridor. Basically, put your best and brightest of your dwellers in the rooms on your top floor, equip those in the entrance with your best stuff you have, and the rest of the upper floor with whatever else you have, prioritizing your still kinda good stuff over anything else. Raiders don't typically drop down to lower floors right away, and instead just attack floor by floor, so that pesky middle elevator that you have no choice but to have there shouldn't really cause an issue for you. I also recommend putting your power generator room at the top floor after the main entrance if possible, simply because strength equates to a dweller's overall attack and defense stats in the game. If they also happen to have a decent endurance and agility, that's just a bonus, as those increase HP and fire rate respectively, and since this vault is purely meant for this trophy, you can focus on bringing people who fit those needs. Sadly, you can't do anything about this little living area here though, but don't worry, they can't kill kids. They're raiders, not monsters. Now you might be asking yourself, where can I get all those weapons if I'm not buying any lunchboxes? Well, tip number 3, Machine of War. As you increase productivity within your vault and inevitably bring more dwellers in, either through walk-ins out of the wasteland or a little bow chicka bow wow, you gain access to various new rooms that help produce different outcomes. The storage room gives you more storage for your various items that you'll find from scavenging. The overseer's office gives you specialized quests that you can send your dwellers on, and rooms like the weight room or armory let you train up individual dweller stats. For this particular trophy, it's best to focus on getting 2 specific rooms built up as quickly as you can: the med bay and the weapon workshop. As their names imply, they can provide you with stim packs or the ability to craft weapons to arm your dwellers with, all of which will be invaluable to defend your vault with. These 2 rooms are unlocked once you reach 14 and 22 dwellers respectively, and effectively help you build up a miniature army that can be self-sustaining. Unfortunately, you don't gain access to the armor workshop until you have 32 dwellers, which again, if you want raiders to spawn consistently, you can't get to. But don't worry, they're usually easily dispatched by a few well-armed dwellers either way, so keep an eye on their health and just let the bullets fly. Or, I guess, pool cues in this case? I don't know why I have this one. But the weapon workshop has a major drawback to it. In order to craft weapons, you need materials to craft with, unlike every other room you'll have unlocked to that point. Thankfully, you have a few ways of getting the needed resources. The easiest way is getting junk from lunchboxes, sure. You can also get junk drops from completing quests, looting dead bodies from those invading raiders and occasionally rad roaches, but also from exploring the wasteland. And as such, we have tip number 4, getting out into the world. One of the best ways to make sure you're ready for invasions is to have at least a few dwellers who are combat ready. Weapons and good placement within your vault can help, but really making sure you have dwellers besides them to help manage resources is essential. As such, you need to recruit. And the best ways to recruit are to procreate or to make yourself known to the world. And since procreation takes a while, let's focus on making your stamp on the wasteland instead. This can be accomplished in 3 key ways: exploring, questing, and the radio studio. Sending dwellers out to explore can be a bit risky, as you can potentially send them out with valuable weapons or armor and they end up perishing. But the longer they're out, the more stuff they're likely to bring back with them. Weapons, armor, junk, and caps are primarily what they'll bring back. And if you're worried about them dying, just keep an eye on them. If their health starts to get too low, bring them back home, because for whatever reason, they don't run into anything on the way back, so they don't really have to worry about dying. You're also able to utilize the Overseer's office for unique quests, each of which gives you their own unique slew of rewards for completing them. So if for whatever reason you just need a desk fan to make the gun of your dreams, then you can make sure you can get one instead of relying on random drops from regular exploration. Although I don't know why you would need a desk fan, those things are fucking everywhere. Then there's the radio studio, which on top of making your dwellers overall more happy while active, it's also able to broadcast out a signal and bring more dwellers into your vault. And when you're done bringing up the numbers of your vault so you don't go over that 29 dweller threshold, you can always attract raiders with the radio studio instead. Whenever someone is in the studio, it increases dweller happiness and attracts potential new dwellers. But when it's not in use and just sits there, so long as it's still broadcasting, it'll still send your coordinates right out to those dirty scavvers, making them a little bit more likely to spawn, thus accelerating this trophy. As far as Fallout Shelter's trophies go, I personally don't think that Get Off My Lawn is a particularly hard one. It's just one of those trophies that can pass most players by because they're more focused on making the biggest and best vault they can and only realize too late that they still need it. But hopefully with some careful planning and a general understanding that this will take a lot of time and luck, you should eventually earn this one for yourself. Are there any trophies that have been giving you trouble that I've earned? Feel free to check my profile on psnprofiles.com to see what I have earned thus far and suggest more trophies for me to cover. But for now, I want to say thank you all for watching. You can follow me on the socials you see on screen for more content and updates, and I will see all of you in the next video. Thanks again for watching, and take care.